Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and new brewery time. New brewery that I've actually been wanting to try for quite some time. North Park. I actually don't think I've had anything from North Park. Maybe I have, but not in recent memory. I see their beers. They get quite a bit of love from people out in the West Coast. My boy Joe from Joe's Arcade. He reviews quite a few of their beers. And where are they located in California again? North Park Beer Company, San Diego. And, you know, I was like, yeah, it'd be nice to try one of these suckers. Lo and behold, I was at a beer shop in Pennsylvania, and here they are, sitting there. And not that old, either. This was canned 5/22, so it is 6/18, so it's less than a month old. It's kind of crazy. I was walking a random shop in PA and sitting on the shelf. Pricey, but is what it is. Anyway, North Park, it's their Hop Fu, the Golden Hop Fu. This is the triple dry hopped West Coast jammer. Never, like I said, I don't remember having anything from these folks, so we'll see what's what. Is there anything else on here? World Beer Cup, 2022 Gold Award, American Style India Pale Ale. I assume that this is that beer. Not like they just won that award. Yeah, I don't know. 7.5%. A little hop guy doing a little kung fu on there. So, let's see what's what. I am at the end of Father's Day. Father's Day is awesome now. I got a kid, so everything's pretty awesome. Had a great weekend with my kid. Did a bunch of work in the shed. Had a blast. So, yeah, kind of capping it with a little bit of a U.S. Open. You can't see it, that TV. That big TV right there. It's on. There's just a filter on my phone, or not my phone, my camera, so you can't see it. Anyway, yeah, I dig the label, because anytime you give me that kind of black and gold kind of combination, you have that little hop dude doing a little kung fu and all that stuff. So, it is what it is. So we're talking about a triple dry hopped West Coasty. That is definitely West Coasty looking. Probably hazy by old school West Coasty standards. And by that I mean it's the slightest bit of haze whatsoever. Wouldn't be considered a hazy beer in today's beer world. With this nice tight kind of white as white could be had. I can smell gobs and gobs of hops from a distance, but it looks all the part of what we expect from a nice big old West Coast kind of hazy, not hazy, IPA. So used to call all IPAs hazy. Gets a little confusing. Anyway, let's see if we can get a huff on this sucker. Yeah, man, that's the good stuff, because it really is this kind of hard candy hop. It's really what new school, but reminds me a lot of from the kind of, I wouldn't say old school West Coast, but like a very venerable West Coasty things. We're talking the Plinies of the world, those kind of beers that has this kind of just this nice, this soft, but not soft by East Coast standards, but small, piney resinous, nothing too crazy, but it's really is this fruit portion, this tropical fruit, mango thing that all kind of combines in this kind of hop hard candy. The way it comes off, kind of tilting heavily in what I assume is like a two-row crystal malt kind of combination. In throw with these new school hops, a little bit of old school C, you get this kind of interplay between a bunch of old school and a bunch of new school that for me comes off as like a sucking candy. When I say hard candy, that's what I mean. So a hard candy kind of hoppy. Imagine if Lifesavers made a hop Lifesavers. That's kind of how it comes off to me, with those hops leaning West Coast, C hops with a decent amount of tropical fruity deliciousness. Yeah, it smells all the part of a boisterous new school West Coasty. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. And it's impactful. Man, it's a West Coast beer, you know, and no shit Sherlock stuff, that's what it's supposed to be, but man, it just toes this line between the ultra new school and the ultra old school. It sits in this kind of super cool area that not a lot of beers get to. You know, first things first, it is so crisp and so clean. That's your backbone of your old school. You know, there's no heft to this whatsoever. It's almost like flirting, 7.5%. It's almost flirting into IPL kind of range. That's how clean and crisp the beer kind of drinks. And then once you flip to the other side of the script, you get this bursting tropical fruit, this bursting mango, this bursting just at the seams, that candied, again, that sucker candy, that lifesavers, hop lifesavers kind of tropical fruit, kind of hard candy portion of the show. There's just like explosion on top of explosion, and appropriate for the impact of the beer. Like, it's not like just that is stealing the show. That cleanliness, that crispiness, that nice tautness of the beer. And then you have that screaming on the other side of the hops. Now we flip back to the other end of things. There's a malt portion to show here. There's a nice, sturdy, again, I'm thinking Crystal 2-row. Just kind of like, we're not dealing with brewer sugar. We're just having this super well-made base backbone of this beer. This well-made, crisp, clean, malt-based kind of beer that has this super new school kind of hoppiness that leans into the seas enough to where you get a bit of that old school hoppiness in here. I'm not going to tell you this is a big, huge resinous beer. There are piney notes, there's resinous notes here. But again, those are kind of like undertones to the whole beer. Big enough to let you know you're dealing in the West Coast kind of area of things. But it really is that kind of hoppy, danky, mango / tropical fruitiness, that new school side of things, on top of that ultra old school clean malt based kind of IPA that really just makes this beer absolutely fantastic. Completely drinkable and drinks all the part of 7.5. Like, this is more like, if I drank this blind as a mystery beer, I might go triple IPA on this. That's how impactful it is. That's how boisterous this beer is. That's how aggressive this beer is from just the flavor impact of it. This is really good stuff. I understand why people kind of get a little hot and bothered about a hazy. Stop. Pause. I'm sure they make hazies, but a hop forward beer. Because that's kind of, there's so many of them now. They kind of all kind of merge together and meld together and become this kind of ambiguous kind of everybody aiming for the same point with a slightly different arsenal of skills and ammunition. And this is the fun part of the hoppy side of things. This is when you have a brewery that is going to do what they do. They're not reinventing the wheel here when they make this beer. It's a very much West Coast beer. It's very much new school hops. It's been done before. It'll be done again. But it's like, it's the cook. You can give ingredients to 10 different cooks and get 10 different meals. A lot of those cooks are all trying to make the same meal. This is very distinct when it comes to a West Coast IPA because it leans so heavily in both directions. It's not beholden to the new school and not just bowing down to the old. It's actually kind of doing both at the same time, so maybe it is. But it works in harmony. It's all cohesive. It's all working in concert, and it's not something that is just like, I'm going to throw a bunch of West Coast influence in this, but I'm going to use a bunch of new school hops, and people are going to dig it because people like those two things. No. It's someone making a beer with love that ends up being a very tasty beer that showcases the best of both worlds. And showcases what I think is a hop forward beer that I think a lot of the haze bros and hop thoughts would really kind of gravitate towards. If you're very much a New England style, juicy first kind of person, I really, really do think you dig this beer. Conversely, if you're old school, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is the king of all beers, and I don't want to hear anything, and Green Flash used to be good, if you're that person, I think you actually really, really do dig on this beer too. So it's kind of one of those beers that kind of makes and works on both ends of the spectrum, and just as damn tasty. Yeah, I'm glad I got to pick this up. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm glad it ended up being like a big boisterous West Coasty, because just something about it. Kind of like I picked it up and it's North Park. I'm like, I wanted to review one of these. I look at the price tag. I'm like, okay, we're creeping toward $8 for a can. And I'm like, and I see triple dry hopped. Okay, fine, whatever. And I see West Coast. I was like, okay, I get what you're putting down here, North Park. I'm glad I picked it up. Let's put it this way. At that price point, I'd buy another one. I do enjoy it that much. The rarity kind of does that a little bit to you. Would I buy a 4-pack at that price point? No. But I would have bought at least one more can, if not to give it to my buddy Keith or give it to somebody else just to try. I think it's worth that, that experience of a really good well-done beer. Now, I don't know what the beer costs at the brewery. We'll get to that portion of the show towards the end. But very, very fun stuff. And a very cool introduction. If I hadn't done any of their beers before, for some sneaking reason, I think I might have done something from them before. I hope not. Well, I hope I have, and I just forget it. It doesn't matter either way. This is effing delicious. How about that? One did there. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Is this one of the better West Coast style beers that I've had as late? Yes, Mount Rushmore status. Easy peasy. Up there. No questions asked. Value and availability, like I said, it's kind of hard when you get these kind of bootlegged, boutique-y beers that kind of land here. And the price point is kind of, moot. We just throw it out because it's not what it is. I'm really curious about the price point. If y'all out there on the West Coast, you had this, let me know what you paid for it down there. And leave you with if you like what we like this. If you like old school hop forward beers, if you like West Coast beers, and you like new school hops. It's almost like I don't even know how to put it. It's like a Dogfish Head 120 if it was lower in ABV and leaned a little heavier into new school hops. That's kind of the vibes I get from it, even though that's probably the least West Coast beer I can reference in here, so maybe just forget I just said that. It's very much all old school West Coast influence with a heaping helping of new school, so if you can dig on those things, push the new school kind of hate and those kind of things aside. If you like hoppy beer, if you like good beer, you'll dig this. North Park, have you had their beers? Have you had this genre? This chain? What's the word I'm looking for? This. They do a bunch of these hop foods, but I guess this golden one is a specific one. Have you had any of these? Have you had this hop food gold? Because I know they've done it previously. Have you had this particular batch? Like I said, the date on this is 5/22. It's got to be 5. There's no way it's 5/22 from last year. Hopefully not. It's not. And have you had this beer? Have you had anything from them? Have you been to the brewery? All that fun stuff down there. There you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as I did. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of West Coast goodness right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.